Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, I typically do videos on tarot and astrology, and I also have a Get to Know Me Through Astrology series where I do a video per month according to the zodiacal season that we're in. And I talk about my own birth chart and how I interpret my chart according to my own private life events. So that those who are interested in astrology and maybe those who are interested in learning or understanding kind of how the birth chart can be approached and the different houses and who are interested in like the different components of experience that relate to energy in a birth chart. You can definitely check those out and see how I break that down. This is the I have done videos in the past where I just kind of get on and chit chat and do like a little life update, but this is something, a specific topic that I just wanted to touch on before I head out to work. And it's just something that I have been feeling and thinking about, especially since I did my last two Get to Know Me Through Astrology videos. And as you can already see by the title of this video, you kind of already know a little bit about what it's about. So I kind of just wanted to touch on the topic of regret, okay? I don't see like a lot of, I follow some different interesting people who, you know, just get on camera and they just talk about their perspective on things, on relationships or spirituality or politics. And it was like there is, you know, and as someone who is a writer, there is, and, you know, someone who does contemplate and like my emotions a lot. I do experience my emotions on a very transformative, kind of very deep level, on a very, very intense, deep, and sensitive level. And so it's important for me to remain in a constant state of acknowledgement of those feelings and in a constant state of like being aware and true and as honest as I possibly can be with like what's inside my heart. Like that is so important for me, not just like for me as an individual, but it's important for my health. It's important for my transformation. I think it's important for the transformation of society. I think it's important for the transformation of any individual to always just kind of like be aware of what it is you're feeling and to not be afraid to acknowledge it for exactly what it is. Like, and to say to yourself, if you're feeling sad, I'm feeling sad. If you're feeling disappointment, I'm feeling disappointment. Whatever emotion, if I'm feeling anger, I'm feeling anger. Like whatever emotion it is that you're feeling, to actually step into the awareness of that emotion and to be like, because if you try to feel something else, or if you're always trying to, you're going to be fighting yourself for the rest of your life. You're literally going to be like, and maybe, and if that is, if you are acknowledging the truth of what it is that, you know, it's also a matter of like being honest with what it is you believe in, because a lot of the times your emotions can be deeply attached and rooted in your own beliefs, right? And in your own values. Like, well, the fact that, you know, that if you have certain expectations from someone, like let's say you enter a relationship and you do have expectations and you don't talk to them about what your expectations are, you just have those expectations, that is rooted in some deeper belief or value that you have and how you view relationships, okay? So, and I feel like a lot, because the way our culture is structured right now in our society, and especially if you live in America, because we are composed of so many different backgrounds and so many different kinds of people who have different kinds of beliefs, different spiritualities, different views, like, you know, because, you know, there is this I guess, positive side of America in reference to, we are free to, think or be or, what we want or who we want. And we have all these but there's a lot of complications that come with that. There's a lot of confusion that comes with that. I think that people kind of forget or lose sight of the deeper drives and motivations that is pulling them. And I'm observing and noticing more and more how there are, how people are, a lot of people are influenced by the structure of our society that values power and control and all that and things like that. And it's just saying it, my heart is just I can just feel the ickiness of it. And it's crazy when you live in a culture like that and you live in a time and a place where it's you feel you feel like people's values and the things that people are valuing is you're disturbed and you're just God, that's disgusting. I don't understand, and you can kind of feel the disturbance in your heart and you can feel the ickiness in your heart and you have to live with it because you're surrounded by it or because most of the people that have come into your life or the people that you have experienced in your life have not really shown you depth of character, have not shown or talked about their personal values, their personal beliefs. What are they rooted in? Where do they come from? Who are they? Who are people? Sometimes I'm really just and that's why it's it is important to take the time to get to know people. You really don't know, okay, yeah, you can have lots of different types of friends and whatever. And it's you guys are just kind of living in this, conglomeration of, and dynamics of energies, and everyone has their own 2 cents to put on the table and joke around or whatever. But I don't really know how much I believe that a lot of these superficial kinds of relationships, oh yeah, we're all friends and blah blah blah, sometimes I just wonder about the depth. Obviously it's none of my business, to be honest with you. It's none of my business, but I guess just kind of I guess I'm just kind of more reflecting on my own need to connect with people who share my values and to not waste my time with those who do not share my values and who do not who are not able who are not able to open up the deeper side of themselves and express their deeper truths and concerns and all this, pretending to be happy all the time, but to actually be honest about their feelings, to acknowledge, to be real with how they feel and with who they are. And, if they're feeling angry or sad or disappointed or whatever, or just to be able to express themselves on an authentic level, instead of sacrificing just their own heart and their own soul because they think that this collective energy is the only way. Okay. Now, this is actually kind of interesting. And I promise I'll get into the main topic very soon, but you have to introduce it somehow, right? So, and I actually find it really interesting because in 2024, currently Pluto is in Capricorn and Pluto is going to be entering Aquarius pretty soon. And it's going to be in Aquarius for a pretty long time. I can't tell you the exact number of years right now, but it's going to be in Aquarius. I think that, Pluto is in Taurus the longest. I think that Pluto is in Taurus for 32 years. And Pluto is in Scorpio the shortest because of the way that it orbits, which is approximately 9 years. So with Pluto in Aquarius, I'm just going to guess it's around maybe 20-ish years, something like that. Pluto in Aquarius, approximately 20 years, something like that. So you can definitely look it up. I might be completely wrong, and sorry, I didn't look. And what I think is going to happen with Pluto and Aquarius is people are going to continue to break up into kind of dividing groups, okay? Like we've already kind of seen, if you live in America, the way that the country is dividing up, you know, into like two parts, or, you know, they're, you know, and I think that in the next few years, especially with like the current Aquarius transits with Saturn and Jupiter, people will discover more and more what it is that they truly believe in and what like group, so to speak, they truly fit into. And when Pluto enters Aquarius, there's going to be a lot of rediscovering and transformation, and like there's going to be constant deaths and rebirths in reference to where you truly feel like you belong and where you truly feel like your value is valued, where your beliefs are contingent with like other people's beliefs, okay? And don't be surprised if there are more divisions. Don't be surprised if there's going to be more like more and more like segmented groups, but not just like in reference to, you know, like, oh, like, you know, it's you know, it's going to be lots of different stuff. There could be like a group of just like one specific kind of people or like ethnicity or race, but there could also be a group where it's like mixed with different types of people, like black, white, gay, like, and they're going to have their own values and beliefs. There could be like a group there could be two groups that are completely mixed with different types of people, but one group like believes in God and another group doesn't. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's kind of like, it's kind of like the whole soul tribe thing, right? Like who is your soul tribe? And, you know, I feel like during the Aquarius transit, during the Pluto Aquarius transit for those, it's going to be like, it's going to be a discovering and a rediscovering of things like that, of really kind of, you know, being, you know, discovering what it is that your heart is really telling you. What do you really value? What do you believe in? And then kind of like find the group that you belong to, right? So with that being said, like something, you know, I want to talk about this issue of regret and this this word regret, you know, because I feel like, you know, there, you know, you hear in like modern culture, and, you know, it's like, oh, live with no regrets or this or that. And to a degree, I understand that saying. I understand like where that comes from and why, especially if you're someone who is one of those like, oh, I could die tomorrow, so just like, let's just like feel alive and live life because I could die tomorrow, so I don't want to die with any regrets and da da da. Okay, if that is like truly your belief, and I also want to say, like, it's okay to realize that you don't, like, if you were brought up, let's say Catholic, and then in your 20s you decide you want to experiment, or in your 20s you start questioning that and you're like, well, I don't really know if I really feel Catholic. Maybe I'm something else. Maybe there's another religion out there that I would enjoy more, you know? And I always recommend people to study philosophy, because philosophy, like, it could confuse you a little even more in the beginning when you first start studying philosophy, because you literally start questioning everything, and then you kind of have to form your own philosophy. Philosophy puts the responsibility completely on the individual. Philosophy puts the responsibility completely on you to come up with your own, like, you know, unless you find a philosopher that you really connect to and you're like, this is my philosophy. I'm, you know, a Marxist, or I am a Freudian, or I like Nietzsche, you know what I mean? So, you know, otherwise you would kind of, you know, come up with your own philosophy. It should, you know, when you study a subject, it should technically inspire you to create your own kind of truth from it by kind of like looking at others and then discovering the truth within you on what it is that you really believe and think and how you want to approach life. So, you know, and I did go through that period. I studied philosophy and psychology in my 20s. And that's actually, like, I ended up quitting school because I was like, I'm going to create my own path. I'm going to create my own life. And also, I just didn't think that that particular subject that I was studying was just the right for me. Okay. And I quit. I went off. I basically did whatever I wanted. I, got jobs. I traveled. I, just kind of met different kinds of people. I pretty much just did whatever the hell I wanted. Okay. I experimented. I fucked around. I got into some trouble. Like, I did what I wanted. So I find this feeling, this thought of regret really interesting because, like, I have discovered that when I feel, there are a lot of things that I have done in my life that I don't regret. So it's like because I was in a specific state of mind during the time that I was like, and this was like in my 20s, so I was just like, being free, doing what I wanted. So during that time, I did take on this persona. I kind of took on this philosophy of life and of myself, and that was who I was. So it's almost like during that period, I can't say that I have any regrets. Okay, I don't have any regrets. I don't have any connections from that time in my life. Not like deep connections, not like these deeper, like attachments. I didn't really form attachments to people, okay? And as time went on, that started to change. I mean, and it's normal for people to go through changes in their life and to discover that there is like a whole other side of life, or that there's a whole other side of who they are and their personality. And it's typically not just like a whole other side of life, but it's like as you grow up, so to speak, or as you discover other parts of yourself that you've ignored, it's like these sides of yourself kind of start to come out and they start to call out to you. And then you start going like, well, and then you hit 30 and you're like, well, maybe I want to have a kid, or maybe this, or maybe that, right? I mean, right? So we go through changes and then we desire different things for ourselves. The philosophy starts to change. Now, so I didn't have any regrets, and I don't. At this moment in time, I don't feel any regrets. I don't feel any regrets from that period of my life. Now, I will tell you what I do regret, because I have been feeling a lot of regret lately. And this regret is tied to a very intimate relationship that I was involved in that left me completely brokenhearted. And it left so much, it left me with like a lot of pain and with a lot of disappointment and a lot of like really deep like hurt. Okay. A lot of really, really deep hurt, and it left me confused, and it just kind of like left me, it left me in a place where it's like I had to, like, how do I explain it? If I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys, I didn't even want to live anymore. Like I got to a point in the relationship where, like, because I thought that I was in love, or I was, and the way that this person treated me, because like I thought I actually found someone that I wanted to give all of myself to, like mind, body, soul, my heart. Like I wanted to give all of myself to this person. like completely and totally and unconditionally. But maybe in the beginning he wanted to, but then maybe realized like he wasn't ready or something like that. Basically, it was just like a complete and utter soul breakdown. Okay, it was like a total breakdown, because like I wanted to believe in forever. I wanted to believe that, like, you know, when you open your heart, that when you actually give that very special side of yourself, that sacred side of yourself that's like deep in your soul, there is something there that you realize. And maybe that part of me was like kind of hiding, you know, during those previous years, like in my 20s or something like that. And like I wasn't even completely aware that it existed, because I wasn't brought up in a religious family. It's like, it's really weird. My family was really weird, because it's like I was baptized in an Orthodox church. My family was kind of involved in the community, but they weren't religious by any means. Like, I mean, I guess my dad is kind of an atheist, and I don't know. I really don't know. They have their own, like, it wasn't talked about at all, you know. So, you know, even though there was a part of me that did feel, you know, like I had some kind of like deeper connection with some, you know, higher power, something like that. But anyway, like, you know, so when someone comes around who wakes that up in you, and you kind of realize that you have this side of you that you had no idea that it was there. It's like you had no, like, you know, something can happen in your life. There could be a freak accident. You can get into a car accident. Something can happen in your life that can trigger you to wake up in some way, and it can trigger you to like see a certain truth within yourself, right? And the truth that I saw was like that, you know, when I do connect on a deeper level intimately, like this is like it's an experience that goes beyond just the physical, and it's like it starts to take place in like many different realms. It's very spiritual. Like I know there's a lot of information out there with like the serpent, right? The serpent energy with Scorpio, and like the way that they view like sexuality, and like the coming together, like the two people kind of like coming together and intertwining their spirits with each other in order to become this like one kind of unified energy. And like I like all of this side of me, like these things that I was feeling was like I became very aware of the expectations that I had in my partner. And I became very aware of the expectations that I wanted from this person, and from at the end of it, like a person that you want to be, you know, from this person, I discovered the expectations I had from this person. The problem is that you discover these things, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that person feels the same way or sees love and intimacy and all that type of stuff the same way as you. Okay. And it's like, it's crazy, because it's like in the past, I was easily able to not get too attached to people, you know, like maybe if I slept with them, like I would get a little attached to them, but it depended on how close we got. If I didn't open up emotionally to them, then I could pretty easily detach myself. But it's like, I felt this urge to, you know, kind of give myself completely to this person. The pain came in, and the feelings of total like self-destruction, I guess, the feelings of like wanting to like commit suicide and those kinds of feelings, that sets in when you realize that this person can't understand you, or won't understand you, or refuses to understand you, or isn't capable of handling that kind of love, or like runs away from it, or things like that. Okay. You like, it kind of like opens up this whole other realization, because you have now kind of given a very sacred part of you to someone who actually didn't deserve it, and who didn't know what to do with it, because they themselves didn't value that. That was not in line with their values. That was not in alignment with their own beliefs and their own values. So it's like, it's not even so much that I'm like, I'm not like coming up with, I'm not trying to like find excuses or anything like that, or like, I'm not doing any of that. It's like figuring out how it is you actually truly operate on that very sacred level, and what it is that you really feel in your heart to be in your heart. Now, it becomes a problem when like, because, and this is where if you go back and watch my last video where I talk about the 7th house, I talk about how like, you know, people want to act like they're like gods or whatever. But you know, it all like ultimately you kind of like once that door opens, it like, I understand that to like, it needed to happen for me to learn and to discover my my feelings about intimacy and relationships and what it is that I expect from my partner. I feel like that side of me needed to be woken up so I can discover who I am on that level. And I can discover like how I feel about intimacy and relationships and opening up that side of myself, because it's a very, and I don't know, I feel like Scorpios could probably relate, or if you're like a Scorpio moon, I feel like you could probably relate, but it's a very, you know, like, it's like discovering that there is something very different about how you connect with people. And it's like, if the person that you're connecting with doesn't share that same feeling and doesn't experience like love and intimacy on that, I just don't know that anyone who experiences intimacy in that level can be fulfilled by anyone except for those who can also experience it on that level, or at least be open to experiencing love and intimacy on that level. So I don't know. Hopefully I'm still making sense to you guys. Hopefully you guys are still following me. But you also realize, at least like I have come to realize, that I regret, like, even though I knew that it was supposed to happen so that I can like learn about myself and discover certain things about myself, so I know in the future, you know, like, you know, like energetically speaking, what kind of, you know, because when you're exchanging energy with someone, you're not just exchanging like sexual energy, you're exchanging lots of other kinds of energies, the energies that are attached to that person, whether it's like baggage from their childhood or it's like a situation that they could be in. You know, but emotionally, energetically, you can kind of like take on that person's energy. And if that person is not talking to you and communicating with you about those energies, then that is a whole lot of dumping that they pretty much just put on you energetically. Okay. And that energy, you know, kind of like you kind of take on the burden of that energy. And like I entered a very like self-destructive kind of place because I didn't know, like I mean I had my own issues that I had to work out, and like it's like now this person just dumped all of they didn't have to. Actually, if this person had actually spoken about it and communicated about it, it would have been, I would have been able to acknowledge whether or not I can like handle it. But the fact that it was like a form of psychic energy, and it was a form of like, I guess you could say like sexual or emotional energy, it kind of like goes from inside of it, kind of like it grows from inside of you. Okay. So kind of like a child. Okay. It grows. It's creative. It grows. Okay. But it's not good necessarily. Sometimes it's fucking toxic as hell, you know? So, you know, and when I really think about how much I had placed on myself by opening up like that and like giving myself so unconditioned, so wholly to someone, and them like, if they, you know, and them not kind of like showing the value, if like them not showing you that they like appreciate it, or like them like not acknowledging or even being aware, like not being aware of their own energy and how they're affecting other people. And, you know, generally speaking, when you're involved in an intimate connection, you know, you should probably be aware of the other person, especially if it's an ongoing thing, you know, and you have entered into some kind of relationship, you know, even if it's just like a lover kind of relationship. So like ultimately, you know, when you go through like hurt and pain and heartache, because you realize that like this person pretty much just like kind of like dumped everything on you and kind of just pretty much just treated you like you were like nothing, or like, you know, just like a piece of shit, like a disposable, you know, thing that they could just like use when they want. That will, like, yes, acknowledging the fact that like this was a hard lesson that you had to learn. When you also discover that you do have your own values and your own beliefs about intimacy and about what's sacred and about what it is that you are willing to fight for, whether it's love or, you know, whatever the case may be, you have regret over what happened. Because here's the thing. If I gave myself completely, right, to someone, and I mean, that in and of itself is an act of God. To give yourself so completely, show, you would think that that would show the other person, like, you realize that when you see how a person responds by someone doing that, you can discover and know right away if it's just about power for them. And you can discover right away if it's just about the abuse of power, or if they would actually like love and appreciate the fact that like you are giving yourself to them. And the fact that it was an abuse of power and it was not the former of what I said, or the latter of what I said, in order for you to desire that kind of connection, if you discover that that is a type of connection that you value, because even though I don't regret opening myself up completely to someone, like giving my mind, my heart, and my soul to one individual, I don't regret that, because that is what I want. That is something that I value. That is something I believe in. That is something that I trust in. And I do trust and I do believe that that kind of connection with another individual is possible. And I do believe that it is like out there, that there are people out there who value that same kind of connection and that same kind of intimacy, where you are so connected to each other's souls and you're able to open up to each other, and and to actually go on that deeper level and to not be afraid to go on that deeper level. So I don't regret that, because that's something that however, now this is where the fascinating thing about regret comes in. However, it's okay to admit, it's okay to say, I regret doing it with this person. I regret doing this with this person. And by you saying, I regret doing it with this person, it allows you to be honest and to open up to your future partner, the one that is deserving of that, the one who can connect with you on that kind of level, who does understand you, who is willing to listen, who is willing to open their heart to you, and to have you understand them and how they feel, and for you guys to share your values and to share your beliefs, then you are reclaiming that which you gave to that person and giving it now fully, completely to that other person. And that person who actually is going to stay in your life forever and be your one person there's no comparison. Just because you gave it to that person, you kind of like took it back. You know what I mean? You took it back. So it's not like you lost anything. You didn't lose anything. And this is where the power of regret is so powerful and important. And like, people think of regret as like not a good feeling. And people think of the word regret like, oh, you shouldn't have regrets. But no, it's okay to have regrets if you felt like that it was undeserving of something that you gave. Okay, then you regret giving it because you feel like it was undeserving, and that there is someone out there who will value you and who will understand you and what you want. Okay, and then you will be able to find someone that you can trust and open up that side of yourself to. It's still, and it's going to take time, of course, to get through the pain and to like to heal yourself. Like, I'm still healing, you know, I'm still kind of like getting over it. And I think that another thing to, you know, that's really, really important when you go through a bad breakup, or if you go through like a relationship that didn't turn out, don't stoop as low as this person. Trust me, you will know this person doesn't share your values. If this is a person who's just going to go back out and start like dating again and just like, you know, just like act like whatever, like, you know, like, oh, let's just see what else is out there. Like, they are clearly not in tune, and they are not in touch. And, you know, they have a different value system. They have a different, you know, like, you know, and sometimes people want to like teach you, people want to tell you what's right, you know, and like what they think you should do and how they think you should act. But if that doesn't, cause like I do recall, you know, this person wanting to play God, like wanting to tell me what was right and wrong and all this and that, but didn't want to take responsibility for any of their own actions. And when I say I gave myself so completely to this person, I mean that exactly. Like, I completely gave myself. And even if I hurt, even if I fucked up, or even if this person was like, oh, you know, don't do that because I don't like it or whatever, like, I would apologize and I would be like, you know, I'm sorry, because I cared about the relationship. I cared about the growth of the relationship. But then you start to discover, well, if this person isn't behaving in the same way that they are expecting you to behave, then something's not right. If this person is not bringing themselves to behave to their own standards, if they have standards that they have set for you, but they don't behave on those standards and they don't behave in that way, that is like, you need to run in the other direction. At least that's my opinion. Like I said, I'm not here to tell people what to do. Maybe that can work for some people. Maybe people are okay with being like told what to do by their partner, and they just like don't give a fuck if their partner does whatever they want. I also kind of see that as someone taking advantage of your unconditional love. So if you are able to feel unconditional love and you have unconditional love for someone and they don't show you that same thing in return, chances are they're going to take advantage of it. And chances are they're going to do whatever the hell they want because they know that you're going to love them no matter what. Okay. So it's really important to acknowledge that and to not let yourself kind of fall into that trap. But otherwise, I feel like you're going to go down a road of like constant pain and struggle within yourself, waiting for that person to really truly show you that they love you, if they even do love you. So yeah, so I wanted to, you know, talk about regret, because it's like, you know, I remember like when I was in my 20s, like I dated this Mormon guy, and, you know, and he was explaining things to me in a way that like made sense, but at the time it didn't make sense just because of where I was at mentally. And he mentioned to me like, oh, you know, because he didn't believe in sex before marriage. He wanted forever, but he would still engage in relationships, and he would still engage in, you know, like sexual activities. So I was like, so how do you handle that then? I don't understand. Like, what if that's what you believe, but you're doing that? He's like, well, basically, like, you know, I do, if I'm in a relationship with someone that then it's because I want that forever with that person. However, if it doesn't work out, if the relationship does not work out or something does not work out, then I would regret. I would regret everything. I would regret ever meeting them. I would regret everything. So it's like, that kind of makes sense to me now, because, you know, you want to protect that sacred part of you and only give it to that one person, you know? So it's like, if you give that part of you to another person, that doesn't mean that it's end all be all, like, oh, now you've given, you know, you do have to give yourself room to forgive yourself, because, you know, if you could have given a very sacred part of you to someone and they didn't treat it with respect and they didn't value it and they didn't appreciate it. But that you didn't give them forever. So if you believe in forever, you still were able to catch the mistakes before they, you know, they took a really bad turn. So you were able to pull away and be like, oh, okay. So then you realize, oh, okay. So this, you know, that's not what it is, right? That's not what it is. So, you know, and it's like, you know, there are people who will stick through bad relationships because you know, the value that they put so much value on the fact that they did give themselves so completely to that one person, and they don't feel like it would be right to give themselves so completely now to another person. And that I'm not here to judge. I understand that there are people who stay in committed relationships, and they stay in long-term relationships because of their values and their beliefs, and they have unconditional love and they stick through it. And I respect that if that is something that if you believe that you are doing the right thing, you know, even if the other person is making mistakes. Of course, you should forgive your partner. Of course, you should, like, you know, I know that people aren't perfect, and you should, you know, I do think that, like, every relationship, you know, there should be forgiveness, and, you know, people are always going to make mistakes, and you shouldn't always just, like, run the other way just because someone makes, like, one mistake. At least that's what I think. But you basically just have to discover for yourself where your boundaries lie, what kind of mistakes are you willing to tolerate, and what kind of mistakes are you not willing to tolerate. And I think that usually you can, you know, and you can feel how, you know, you can kind of, you discover, of course, by being in the relationship, you know, what it is that you're really looking for, and what really are your expectations. Now, this is, like, where I understand why people date. You know, they date because, like, it's like the more different people you talk to, the more people you interact with, the more people you communicate with, the more you can learn what you like, what you don't like. I've never really been, like, the dating kind. I've never really been the kind of person to go out on multiple dates with multiple people, and, like, I don't know, like, I guess to a degree, it's like I do want to believe that fate will bring the right person into your life, that, like, you'll just kind of, like, bump into your forever person. But I also want to say that when you do bump into that person, you know, it is important to, and that, you know, if you do feel like this could be your forever person, to set boundaries, and to get to know them, get to know their values, their beliefs, what they believe in, and also to not shy away from sharing your own values and your own beliefs. And, you know, if you're able to talk about sex and intimacy and emotions before actually engaging in sex and intimacy and emotions, I would say that's pretty ideal. I would say that that's the way to go. That's the right way to do it. You know, that's not something that I always did in the past. You know, I did not follow those standards. I did not set those standards for myself at all. You know, I was pretty, like, I don't know, I guess you can say I was, like, kind of reckless, but not really. Like, I would say that I was maybe just more reckless with my heart. You know, I guess you can say I was a little bit more reckless with my heart. So, you know, because, I don't know, you know, because I thought it's like you meet someone and you want that person to be your forever person. You want, like, you see the beauty, you see the vision, you see the future, like, you know, this person inspires you and they make you feel all sorts of things, and you feel like the connection can be like something very special. And so you want to give yourself faithfully, right? Unconditionally and faithfully. But if you discover down the line and it's like, I do think that I don't necessarily think that like this person was like bad by my own intuition or instincts. I don't think they were bad, but the image that they were projecting, the image that they carried themselves in, not just with me, but with others as well, in my opinion, was bad. I don't think that they were bad. I think that the image they were projecting was bad. Okay. That would be the best way to explain it. Okay. So then you have to be like, okay, well, if the image they're projecting is bad, do you really want to be with someone who wants to project that image? It's kind of like, so you're playing, I don't know, it's weird, you know, it's weird. And I didn't really have anything else to say about that. It's like, you know, you can see it so clearly, and then it kind of like, you at some point you just see it so clearly, and it's just like you can't even believe it. It's like part of you is just like, how the hell did I end up with, like, how did this even happen? Like, you know, and you're looking at them and you're like, wow, humans like you actually exist? Like, people like you in this world are real? Like, that's really scary. I was actually, like, you know, and if a person has, you know, they have no remorse, they don't take any responsibility for any wrongdoing, oof, like, you know, that's kind of a sign of, I would say, a God complex. Okay, someone who has a God complex. It's very icky. It's very, very, very icky. So yeah, absolutely, I regret giving my heart to this person, because like, they have a lot of issues, and I'm not going to sit here and you know, I know that there are people who won't change. I know there are people out there who, like, maybe they're not capable of changing. Maybe they don't want to change. Maybe they just refuse to enter that state of consciousness. Maybe the universe and astrology just kind of wire them in a certain way to where it's like somehow they just keep going down the other path. But I also want to believe that there are people can change, but they have to want to do it for themselves, of course. You know, they have to want to take that step, you know, that no one is going to, like, you can't force someone, and especially if it's someone who, like, you know, if they don't value your, like, obviously, if someone is not willing to change for you as an individual, then it means that they don't respect or value your output. They don't respect or value the criticism that you have, or the opinions that you have, or the feelings that you have. They don't value or respect that. So that's, if they don't value and respect that, then, I mean, it's just like, then they obviously need to figure out what it is that they value and respect, and that's not at all on you. You can only like figure out what it is you value and respect. But it still baffles me because like even now I'm just like either this person is literally like the biggest coward, he's afraid to show his true self to people, to the world, or like this person truly has no values, doesn't believe in anything except for maybe himself, and only trusts his own heart and only trusts his own, which, but, okay, and what? So I understand why it's important to only look inside yourself and to find the answers within yourself and to find what it is that you value and you believe in. I understand that. But like, if you don't value and respect other people's opinions and thoughts, and like, I mean, are you really connecting with the world? It's like, so what's your use in the world then? So it's like, if only your own opinions matter, if only your own beliefs matter, if only your own values matter, and that's how you act, like only your own perspective is what matters, what is your purpose on earth? To just be a god? To just be a tyrant? To just be like a boss? Like, I don't really understand their purpose. I really don't. If they're not going to listen to other people, what other people have to say, if they're not going to listen to like other perspectives, other values, other beliefs, and open themselves up to like other things, I'm not saying they have to like adapt those things. I'm not saying they have to, but I don't know. It just doesn't settle right with me. It sounds very egotistical and very narcissistic. And it kind of sounds like a God complex, in all honesty. And it sounds like a power trip. And it kind of sounds like their head is not just up their own ass, but it's up the ass of America's ass. Like, I feel like that's kind of how America operates. At least, their head is so far up their ass, they think that they're like, if you think you're the greatest country on earth, that sounds like a God complex. That sounds like a God complex. And stay away. Stay away, okay? Listen, I will fight for I was born in America. Like, I'm not completely shitting on America. Like, I do, I have a love-hate relationship with this country. And you know what? I think that that's a healthy kind of relationship to have with this country, a love-hate, because I want to see America become better and grow and just become, have more depth of character, okay? I would like to see America have more depth of character, because there's honestly no excuse with America being as diverse as it is, with people from so many different parts of the world and everybody wanting to come here. You would think that America would have more depth of character, but then you realize that people leave their situations and their history and their country behind to like forget, because they want to start something new. So to me, it's kind of like, okay, so pretty much all you want is power. So I don't really even necessarily think highly of, maybe they want to escape their situation, but I speculate why immigrants come here. I do speculate why people want to come here just for like power or just for money or for opportunities. That's like, I mean, yeah, it's a good thing, but also, I don't know. There's something, I don't know, like, and then like the deeper side of them, the side of them that is still very much rooted in their history and in their culture and in the nation which they have descended from, is now suddenly like hidden, buried. They don't want to show that side of them to anybody. I don't know. It's just like, America should be founded on a depth of character. Like, who are you? Where do you come from? What do you believe in? Like, I don't know. Like, it needs to come out. That's what's going to make America stronger. America is going to be stronger if we can actually be honest about who we are and what we value. And we'll also be able to find other people who believe and value and communicate those same things. If you keep it hidden all the time, how are you going to find your people? How are you going to find your people? Like, you got to communicate, you got to share, you got to talk about it, you got to express it, and it's going to make America stronger. People from different backgrounds are going to come together because they're going to be like, yeah, man, I feel the same way. So I'm just saying, like, so yeah, so this is, you know, so I gotta head out. I gotta go to work. I got my uniform on. Yeah, it's about that time. So hopefully you enjoyed my video. I talked about a lot of different things, so I hope you enjoy the different topics I talked about. But yeah, it's just like you know, just talking about this whole regret thing. Totally feeling it. I'm totally feeling that feeling of regret, and I'm just like, you know what? I accept that I fucked up, that I made a mistake, that I fucked up by giving my heart, my soul, my everything to to a person who just like, whose head is just so far up his own ass. And I want to experience that love with the right person. And that is the end of my video. Mwah, sending you guys kisses. I'm having a mid-October full moon in Aries Halloween special tarot reading coming very soon. I'm in the middle of filming those, so they'll be out next week. Check those out, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.